Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. In today's clip, I'll show you some of my favorite accessories for the Mavic Air 2 and the Mavic Air 2S that I take with me pretty much every time I leave the house. These are things that are in my kit that I've tested extensively in the field and I can recommend to other flyers because every time a new drone is released, all the accessory companies start spinning up the factories and building things that they think you need for that drone. And I like to buy a lot of those accessories and really see if there's value in them. I'll bring them in, I'll test with them in the field for a couple of weeks, and I'll figure out pretty quickly, is it an accessory that I'm going to use on a regular basis, or is it something I just bought, it's going to end up in a shelf down in the basement. So all of the things I'm going to talk about today are accessories that I can fully recommend and ones that I've tested out in the field. And actually, I'm not going to spend a lot of time diving into the details of each of these accessories because I've done extensive review clips on all of them. So if you see something today that I talk about that really interests you, check the channel. I'm sure I've got a review clip up on it, or I can answer questions about it as well. I wanted to try to get through as many of these accessories as I can today because we've gotten a ton of questions from new flyers that have just purchased either the Mavic Air 2 or the Mavic Air 2S, and they're asking me, Rick, if you had to go out in the field with a bag full of accessories, what would you put in that bag? Everything on this table is pretty much something I bring along. So let me get started with the most basic accessories that I recommend every pilot out there have, and that's a landing mat. Now, I know I get a lot of grief for this because a lot of people are saying, Rick, I've got the Air 2S and I'm hand launching it, hand catching it. Why would I drag a landing mat along? Well, I get that, right? It doesn't land on the ground, so if you catch it in your hand, good for you. But if the wind kicks up, you've got to land it someplace. And if you land it down in the grass, you're going to get blades of grass up in the gimbal and the camera. If it lands on dirt or even the concrete of a parking lot, you're going to kick up sand and dust. So having a landing mat like this that you can throw on the ground, even if you hand launch and hand catch, gives you a safe place to land that drone. The other benefit, even if you hand launch, is that you've got a safe place on the ground to put other things down. So if you've got a case with you, or batteries, or cables, whatever you're bringing along, your phone, you've got a nice little place now to set it down where it's not going to get wet on grass. What I like so much about this particular landing mat is that, first of all, it's nylon, so it folds up really small, but it's got a steel ring in the outside of it, which holds it in a full open position, so you get the maximum coverage of the ground. That steel ring also adds weight to it, so it's going to stay in the ground, where a lot of the other ones we've tested kind of float along like a pillowcase along the ground, so it may start over here, and if the wind kicks up, the next thing you know, it's down the far end of the field. This one won't move as often. It also has straps on the end where you can stake it down. It comes with stakes, so I'd recommend the landing mat as the first accessory any drone flyer out there buys, because trust me, it's going to come in handy, especially if you're flying in inclement weather in the wintertime where you've got snow on the ground, or if it's just rain, the ground's a little bit moist, you want to have a landing mat like that. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is protecting the drone. Now, I've already got this set up with what I'll call a prop stabilizer on it right now, and it's really just this elastic band that fits around the outside of the drone that will keep these props tight against the body, because the challenge you've got is without that, if you throw it in your backpack, those props are flopping around, they're going to get bent, they could get cracked down here at the base, and you're not going to know that till you pull it out of the bag and get ready to fly. So having a prop stabilizer on it like this keeps all the props neatly organized. You're not going to get snagged in anything. You can drop it in the bag, you're not going to have any issues. Another thing I recommend is for your batteries. Batteries are hands down the most expensive accessory you're going to buy, and they're kind of the most fragile in a lot of ways. Plus, they're a single point of failure in your drone. So if something happens to the battery and you're not aware of it, and you put your drone up and it fails in midair, there's no backup. It's going to come out of the air like a rock. So you got to make sure you take care of your batteries. Right now, I've got it inside of a LiPo bag. If you've got a case, you can put it in a case. You don't need the LiPo bags, but I like these because if you're traveling, the TSA is going to want to make sure you protect any batteries you bring on the plane. This is a really good indication that you're a serious pilot. It also protects the batteries from any kind of external damage because the LiPo bag itself is puncture proof, so you can't really punch a hole through the side of it and maybe crack the battery. It's also fire retardant, which means, heaven forbid, something happens with the battery where it overheats, it's going to contain it inside the bag. You'll also notice I've got a battery guard on there as well, which is a little rubber stopper that fits over the contacts, because the battery itself is pretty resilient, but those contacts can get dirty, especially if you lay it down on a table or you lay it down in the grass, heaven forbid, you're going to get dirt and debris up inside those contacts, which over time are going to tarnish them. That's going to cause issues with conducting electricity to the drone, so it could give you kind of flaky flights. It's also really difficult to clean that out, but worse, if you get gunk up inside those contacts and then slap it in your drone, you're going to transfer that junk to your drone, and all of a sudden, instead of losing a $100 battery, you're losing a $1,500 drone. So it's important to keep that safe. I like to put a battery guard on it if it's not in my case, and I'll throw it in a LiPo bag. And if I'm going out flying, maybe I've got a backpack with me, I'm not taking the case with me, and I've got my battery, the drone, the controller, and a few other accessories, and it just keeps it really safe. Another key thing is you want to have a case for your drone. If you've got a backpack and you're throwing it in there on a regular basis, it's probably okay, but trust me, you're going to get dirt and debris, it's going to get nicked up and dinged up. So a small case like this or even a hard case is great because the case itself provides a lot of room inside for holding all of your gear. You can fit your drone, your controller, a couple of batteries. This is one that I like a lot. It's got a little shoulder strap that comes with it here, but it's got a cutout for the drone. It's got a cutout for the controller. You can put 2 batteries here, more cables on the bottom. You've got nice hard plastic, sort of, not a plastic, but sort of a cardboard with foam on it, separator between the top and the bottom, which protects everything in the lower part. You've got straps here where you can put props in, and a nice little compartment up here where you can put a lot of other accessories. So pretty much everything on this table will fit inside this case. Even with this prop guard on it, I can slide it in there and it fits in there nice and tight. And again, the batteries would slide in up top here, so you can put 2 batteries in. I can put cables below it, and I've got room on the bottom for my controller right there. So it's a nice little way to bring it with you. And there's a balancing act that goes on between how big a case you need and how tough it is to bring along. I like a case like this that's sort of a happy medium. It's like that Goldilocks zone where it's not too big, but I can fit a lot of stuff in it, but I'm not worried about carrying a ton of stuff with me. The perfect case for that. I also like a little bit of a softer case because it allows me to pack it in my suitcase, whereas a hard case, it's difficult to get it in there. So if I'm going away for more than 3 or 4 days, this comes with me, the drone goes in it, everything I need to fly is inside that case. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the batteries. Charging the batteries is another hassle in a lot of cases. It's not a bad thing, but it just takes time. And I always think like, man, the time I'm spending charging those batteries is time that I'm not up in the air flying. So if you bought the unit as a standalone unit, so if you bought it as the basic kit, you got a single battery and a nice charger, and you would plug the charger into the battery, you charge the battery over time. When it was finished, if you had a second battery, you disconnect it, connect up the second battery, and start charging that battery. If you bought the Flymore combination, you got a nice hub that would allow you to plug 3 batteries into it, and what would happen there is it wouldn't charge them all at the same time. It would look for the one of the 3 batteries that needed the least amount of charge that one. When that was finished, it would flip to the next one, then the next one. So over time, it would get to all 3 of the batteries, but it still took a long time because it's only charging 1 battery at a time. So really early in the release cycle of the Air 2S and the Air 2, we started searching for a multiple charger that could parallel charge those batteries, and that's exactly what I have here. I use this every time I'm home getting ready to fly. It's a charger that actually allows me to charge 4 batteries simultaneously in parallel, which means technically inside this unit there are 4 separate chargers that are each paying attention to an individual battery. So each of those chargers will look at that battery, determine how much of a charge it needs, and throw just the right amount of current and voltage at it to charge it quickly and safely. So essentially, you can charge 4 batteries in almost the same time it would charge 1 battery with the standard charger. In addition to that, there are 2 USB-A ports on the end here that you can connect up a cable to your phone, to your tablet, or even a portable battery bank, anything you're bringing with you, your GoPro camera that charges off a USB-C port. So it makes it really simple to charge all your batteries at one time and charge 2 other devices at the same time. And you've got indicator lights right here that will be red if the battery's charging. Once it's fully charged, it'll go green, and that way you get 4 green lights, you know you're all set to go. We also have a version of it for the car, because a lot of times you'll be between locations. Maybe you're flying at one location and you've got a half-an-hour drive to the next location and you've got a battery that's about halfway depleted. This will work in your car. It plugs into any standard outlet in a car. It's got 2 connectors on the end, which are custom, that connect up to the battery. So with this, you can charge 2 batteries simultaneously, as well as 1 USB-C port here as well to charge a phone or a tablet or even the controller. So it's a really nice way to make sure that all your batteries are charged when you're in the car. Don't leave your batteries on a charger in the car in the summer, because I've talked about this extensively. LiPo technology does not like heat. So if you're trying to charge your batteries and it's too hot, the battery may actually refuse to be charged. But don't leave a battery on a charger in your car. Just a word of caution there. If you want to take it a step further, we also make a Hydra Cable, which is something we put together here at Drone Valley. It's a custom cable that has 3 USB-C connections on the end of it and a single USB-A connection. Now this is really handy if you're using the home charger or even the charger that came with the unit itself. You can plug this into the USB port and you'll get 3 charging heads at the same time that are all active. So you could use it with the car charger, the home charger, or the charger from them, or even any USB charger you've got. And this allows you to charge a phone, a tablet, a controller, all at the same time. This is a really efficient way to use a USB port. In addition to that, on the controller, we also have replacement cables. So if you break the cable, lose the cable, or need one a little longer, this will suit the need there. It'll actually plug right into the back of it, and we have them available for any type of phone or tablet you've got, whether it's micro USB, USB-C, or Apple connections. We also make a car charger. I've talked about this on the channel before. I got frustrated that there weren't really decent car chargers out there that had both USB-A and USB-C on them that could do QC charging, which is pretty much all the Android products out there, like QC 3.0, and PD charging at the same time, or power delivery charging, which is used on the Apple products and a bunch of other things. So we came out with this car charger that'll deliver 45 watts between those 2 ports to charge 2 devices at the same time. I like it a lot because we insisted, as we went through the testing and modifications of that product, that it could charge your smart controller, that it could charge some heavy-duty items like the batteries inside the controller here, and you can even use this with the Hydra cable to charge 3 devices at the same time from a single port. All right, so that's enough about that. Let's see, I talked about the hard chargers. Okay, I didn't talk about the sun hood, so let me talk about the controller a little bit. So the controller looks a little bit strange. I've got these kind of alien antennas on the top of it. There are really 3 accessories on here, again, that are on here all the time. I've got a lanyard clip right here, which slides over the front of the unit. You snap it on, put a lanyard on it, and that will hold it around your neck. So if you're out there flying for the day and you need to do something with your hands, you can let your controller drop and it's not going to hit the ground. So a lanyard clip's really important. I've also got this really cool sun hood on there, which is an incredibly easy product to add to the unit. It folds flat, it's magnetic, and it gives you just enough sun protection for your phone that you're not getting the glare from the sun. The inside of it is non-reflective as well, so you're not going to have sunshine bouncing around on the inside, and it's incredibly easy to put on and take off, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then I've also got range extenders right here. These are the Yagi-Uda range extenders. I've talked extensively about these in the channel. What these will do is focus your transmission signal downfield for you. So the increase in transmission signal can be 35 to 50%, which means you're going to get a much stronger signal downfield at your drone that's going to eliminate a lot of the dropouts you might get if you're flying in a heavily wooded area or a place with a lot of interference, and it's incredibly easy to use. So to pop these guys off, they basically just snap over the antennas that are on the unit itself. Just like that, they go in your case. If you want to take this guy off, you'll lift up, it pops right off just like that. You'll take your phone out. It's got magnetics on the top here to hold it closed, so you can fold this guy in like this, these 2 guys in like that, fold this down, and that's how small that gets, and you can close up this guy and you're good to go. So all of these are really easy to use, but for me, getting set up in the afternoon when I'm ready to fly, I'll open up my drone, I'll power up my drone, make sure it passes a power on self-test, does the gimbal adjustments, I'll put my sun shield on there, snap on the Yagi-Udas, I'll throw my phone in it, and I've got plenty of shade, and I've got great signal downfield. All of that stuff is really easy to use. One other thing I didn't mention for the drone is a sun hood that snaps on the front of the drone, and this will work with all the filters that are out there as well. Essentially what this does, it's like if you're using a DSLR and you've got the sun hood on the front of that, it tends to knock down sun from either sides and above that wash across the lens. So when you've got this on there, it's like blinders on the side of your drone that keep that sun that's on either side of you from sort of washing out the image in front of you. So it's a really easy product to snap on your drone and use. It won't interfere with your field of view. You can still pivot this way or that way with the camera, and you're going to see what you need to do, or when you're making your turns, I should say, where it's adjusting left, it'll let you see what you need to see. The only thing I wanted to mention was, let's see, strobes. So I've got 2 strobes here. I've got the Ulanzi strobe, which we're really big fans of. It's tiny, it's really, really powerful. I like it an awful lot. And I've also got the Firehouse Arc V, which is a much more powerful strobe. Less expensive, more expensive, depending on what your needs are. This one tends to be a little bit big, so if you're flying something like a Mavic Mini 2 or a Mavic Mini, go with the Ulanzi. That's a great one. If you've got a little larger drone or a little larger budget, you can go with the Arc V. This is a bigger one. It'll work great on the 2S. You can actually use either of these in the 2S. And what the strobe will do for you is, number one, if you're going to fly at night, you have to have it to be within FAA compliance. But it's also great during the day because if you've got a drone and you're starting to fly it pretty far away from you, you have to keep it in visual line of sight. And for me, being a little bit of an older guy, if I get about 1,500, 2,000 feet without a strobe, that's about as far as I can see it. The minute I put a strobe on top of that unit, it's going to pulse white, and I can see it a far distance out, much further than I could from, not having the strobe on the top of the unit. So I think strobes are important in general. Both of these charge, so they've got internal batteries. Charge them up, pop them on your drone with a piece of Velcro, go off and fly, and you can see it a lot further out. And I think that was the last thing I wanted to talk about today. I guess that's all the accessories. But anyway, I went through this at a really fast pace because a lot of people were asking about accessories. Rick, what are you using? What do you got there? A lot of times I'll fly with new pilots and they'll say, what the heck is that antenna doing on the top? What's that all about? And these are just some of the accessories that I like an awful lot. Now, I promise you, there were a ton of accessories we tested that either fell apart the first time we used them, or we found out that it took too much work to put them on and get them set up and everything else. So I'm sure you have your own favorite accessories. If you've got something I'm not talking about here, let me know in the comments below, because we'd love to test it. But we work with a lot of manufacturers. We manufacture a lot of products ourselves, like this charger right here, the Hydra Cable, and a bunch of other cool things for the drone. So if there's something you need that you think we should be developing for this technology, we're happy to take a look at it. So that's all I really had for today. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, stuff, drop it in the comments below. I promise to get back to you as quickly as I can. If you're interested in any of this, we have 2 pages set up, one for the Mavic Air 2, one for the Mavic Air 2S, because there are some accessories that are a little bit different because the frame sizes are different on the drones, and it'll explain all that on the channel. And again, if you use the website, you'll be supporting the channel by doing that. We stock all this equipment. We ship it from New Jersey. We ship every day. I promise you I can get it to you faster than Amazon. And we have a better warranty policy as well, because if you ever have a problem with accessories that you bought from us, we're here to help you out and we'll take care of you. So that's pretty much all I had for today. So thanks an awful lot for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this clip. And until next time, happy flying.